Ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Davey Dangerously, one-third of the legendary Ring Crüe, coming at you today with a special episode 61. I have a special guest. He is ascending all the way from Bloodhaven. He is the new Age Daredevil. I'm talking about none other than Damian Drake. Damian, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you very much, Dave. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. So I want to talk about your training. I know you've been about 4 years into the game. You started off in 2014 with Freak Show and FSW in Vegas. You've trained with Sin Bodhi, Funny Bone, even Chavo Guerrero. Tell us about the beginning and tell us about that 2015 when you became Rookie of the Year.
Well, that was a very fun year for me, I should say. I started out with Freak Show with Sin Bodhi. It's actually funny how I got the spot.
I know how you got the spot.
Yeah. Let's tell it to the fans. Why not? So it was just a normal day. I was at work, and I got a call from my dad, Sean, and he told me that Funny Bone is a very good friend of his. I don't know why they're friends. It's a very interesting friendship. Anyways, that Funny Bone needed help with a certain spot at Freak Show Wrestling. And me being a big fan of wrestling, never doing it before, I was like, okay, let's do it. So Funny Bone calls me, and he's like, hey, man, all I need you to find is the most, excuse me for this, I need to find the most douchiest pair of clothing I could find. So I looked through my closet. I found skinny jeans. For some reason, to me, douches wore purple. So I had a purple shirt, and then I had a black long sleeve with a hoodie, and then a gray hat. Put it on. I was like, all right, this looks good enough. So I go to the show, and I meet Sin, very wonderful guy, very weird, because he likes to get weird, and saw Funny Bone, and then I asked, what are we doing today? Turns out I was playing Justin Bieber. Yes, I couldn't leave it in high school, and I couldn't leave it in wrestling. Justin Bieber was my first ever spot in wrestling. I was managing for Bieber's security. 3 days later, I started training, which was my first day of training, was actually with Chavo Guerrero. He was doing a seminar that day. The next day, my first official day of training was with Sin Bodhi. Boy, was that a hell of a first day. And 4 years later, here I am.
Yeah, you've been all over the world. We'll get into that in a little bit. You've been all over the West Coast. You were primarily a tag team wrestler for the past couple years. You were teaming with Spyder Warrior. You formed the Midnight Marvels. You guys have tremendous chemistry. I remember the first time I met you guys was either December 16 or January of 2017. And I walked in the building. It was Visalia, California for Best of the West. And you guys were going over the match with Marcus Erickson Sledge. And you guys were doing some tremendous stuff. And I was like, man, I can't wait for you guys to actually have a match. And you guys tore it up. And I was like, I've heard of these guys, but this was the first time that I've ever seen you guys. And I was like, I was blown away. So how did you guys meet, and how did you guys get the chemistry together? Like, how did you guys, like, bond and form such an awesome tag team?
It's actually a funny story. We actually went to the same high school together, which was Liberty High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was a senior at the time, and I want to say he was a sophomore, maybe a junior. I'm about 2 years older than him, so I want to say he was a junior at the time. We'll say sophomore though. It was funny, we ran into each other in the hallway. I looked at his sweatpants, and he was wearing John Cena pants that said Cena Nation. And I was like, are those John Cena pants? He was like, yeah, they are. And I was like, all right, man, cool. And then we went our separate ways after that. And I remember one of my first days at training, I saw him, and I recognized him. I was like, you went to Liberty, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, didn't you have John Cena pants? He was like, you're the guy that asked me about it. I was like, yeah, I am. And from there, it just clicked. I have these weird interactions with people that watch wrestling or know about wrestling, to where if you say one thing, it clicks automatically. Like one of my best friends we met off a Jeff Hardy t-shirt. And from there, you just form a bond. So we started training and stuff. And Spyder and I, everywhere we've gone, everywhere we still go, we're the smallest guys on the card or the roster, no matter where we go. And from there, we basically became the stereotypes of the underdogs. No matter, we basically represented no matter how hard you put us down to the ground, how badly you beat us, we're still gonna get up and we're still gonna fight, even if it will do whatever it takes to show you guys that we want to do this and we deserve to be here. And that's kind of how we came up with the Midnight Marvels, which were superheroes. Because everybody thinks when you see a superhero, they never back down. They always put on a good fight. They always show to the people we're gonna fight no matter what. And that's how the Midnight Marvel started. And we've been tagging. We have a very brother relationship, big brother, little brother. He's looked out for me. I've looked out for him. And we tagged for 4 years. We tagged for 4.5 years, and it led us all the way to China, of all places, And after we came back from China, we decided to kind of take a break from the Midnight Marvels and just try to find out who we are on our own.
Which brings me actually to my next question. You guys traveled all the way to China. You guys were there for about a month, correct? 2 months, wow. So you were wrestling for the Oriental Wrestling Entertainment Company. So when you guys got there, well, first off, tell me, how did that opportunity come about, and who did you train with when you were over there?
Well, the way how it came about was the promoter for FSW, Joe DeFalco, he was in talks with a couple of the Chinese promoters. One of them was, I never knew his first name, but we called him Mr. Fu. He was basically the Vince McMahon of OWE, and we heard he came to the school and he wanted to see a couple of us do some practice matches. So it was me and Spyder, and it was Hyperstreak and Jacob Austin Young. We did, and the Bonus Boys as well. Who helped us got there were the Whirlwind Gentlemen, which were Remy Marcel and Jack Manley, and they've trained me ever since I've started in FSW. They've trained Spyder since the kids class. They've helped with Hyperstreak. They've helped with Jacob Austin Young. They've helped the Bonus Boys too. So it was a mixture of Joe DeFalco and the Whirlwind Gentlemen, and I give all the thanks to them in the world. And when we did the practice matches, we all had a meeting in the office, and we were the lucky six to head up to China. We were out there for 2 months. We were in Shanghai, and for me, it was a dream come true because I've always been fascinated with the Chinese culture, and I've always wanted to go there. But doing professional wrestling out there, getting out there because of professional wrestling was a weird experience. I never thought professional wrestling would take me that far. We trained with Sima-san from Dragon Gate. We trained with him for 2 months, and he really put us through hell. But by the end of the 2 months, they gave us all the amounts of respect as they would of any of the other Chinese kids.
So now that you're back, you guys have I don't want to say you guys have broken up, but you guys have broken away. You guys are doing your own thing as singles. Is there any particular reason for that? Has the team ran its course? Is there nothing left to do as a team? Or is it something that you guys just want to try out? Are you guys going to team again? And tell us kind of what's next for the both of you as singles.
I don't want to say that the team has ran its course. I kind of like to put this in perspective as the Marvel movies. So the Midnight Marvels basically was phase 1, if you look at the MCU, which was the phase 1, which was Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, all the way to the first Avengers. So now basically the Midnight Marvels are in phase 2. So right now we've been together for so long that we haven't really had the chance to discover who we are on our own, So Spyder, he's figuring out, who he is on his own. I'm in the process right now figuring out who I am on my own. And it's a weird experience because when you're together with someone for so long and then you kind of, I don't want to say split, but you separate. It's weird because you've always relied on who's been on by your side for the past couple of years, and now that he's not there, you're like, okay, this is what I have to do, you know. From what I've heard, he's doing well. He's starting to. He actually came back from China a month ago, so now he's starting to get back into the swing of things of traveling in the West Coast, and hopefully around more of the country. I've just ever since I've been back, I've been traveling more on the West Coast, and it's been going really good. Some differences have happened now. I don't have the mask anymore, which was a big change for me, but it's a good change, you know, because I've been behind the mask for so long. Now I get to kind of show my face more, and people don't have to question who is the guy behind the mask, you know.
And this is why we're here. This is Damian Drake behind the mask. And like you said, you have been traveling all over the world and the West Coast. I have a list here: Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Championship Wrestling from Arizona, FSW, Best of the West, the West Coast Wrestling Connection out of Oregon, Cactus League Wrestling, Party Hard Wrestling. The list goes on and on and on. So kudos to you guys, both of you, for getting your name out there, both as singles and tags. You guys are, I mean, I don't want to blow smoke, but you guys are like super exciting to see live. If you ever get a chance to see these guys as tags or singles, by all means, buy that ticket. So we have a couple fan questions. When we said we were gonna interview you, we put it out there. We have a couple questions. One of them is from Josh Burris, friend of the show. He wants to know, do you have any ill will towards Fresno since a couple years ago you guys got your gear stolen at a Subway here before a show? Does that kill it for Fresno for you?
It does not kill that for Fresno. And no, it doesn't. That was really the first time I ever got robbed, we'll say. At first, it was a little bit of anger, it was a little bit of shock. But as I think about it, what I think about now with that experience is I would like to see the person's reaction when he opened the suitcases. Absolutely. Because there was nothing really, I mean, besides our wrestling gear that's valuable, there wasn't really any valuables that were in there. Like, I had my phone, I had my wallet, I had everything personal. But really if you guys don't know, what was in those suitcases were black, purple, yellow, white, green, and blue tights, kick pads, Midnight Marvel vest, glue for our masks. And I had a brush, a spray bottle. So for me, it doesn't kill it for Fresno, but I would have liked to see the person's, or people, I don't know, reactions to when they opened that suitcase, just to be like, what are these guys into, you know? So it doesn't kill it for me for Fresno, but it was a bummer that day. It really was. And it killed Subway for me, 'cause I love Subway.
I was there when it happened. It was a bummer. So let's forget about the bad stuff. Alexander Crowley 07 from Instagram had two questions. One was, what are your go-to matches for inspiration, and what made you become a pro wrestler?
That's a tough one. Go-to matches for inspiration. That really is a tough one. Man.
It can be local guys, training partners, WWE, anything you've really caught on to.
I'll answer the second question first. What really got me into wrestling or inspired to do and to watch it basically, was the icon, Sting. And when everybody hears Sting, I feel like the first thing they think about is Surfer Boy Sting. For me, it was the Crow Sting when he just became the Crow. The black and white, and I'm a big comic book fan, if anybody doesn't know this. I'm a big fan of the dark characters. So just when Sting would come out, he would have one expression on his face. One expression, he wore the dark clothing, wouldn't say a word, but you can tell what he was experiencing and what he was feeling. And to me, that's what caught my attention, was just the silent dark hero. And I'm a big fan of the Crow movie by the late Brandon Lee. Rest in peace. So that's what really inspired me to watch it. And inspired to do it, I've always had the dream of just stepping into a wrestling ring. I never thought I'd actually do it. But now that I've gone in the ring, I've done matches, it's a whole different experience watching it than doing it. It takes a toll on your body, but it's worth it. Now, the two matches, I don't really have two matches, but I can tell you one that really has caught my eye lately was AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan before they came to WWE. I've always been a big AJ Styles fan. I've literally seen his career from the beginning of TNA all the way up to now, and he's one of my inspirations now. But that match, I'm a really big fan of New Japan right now. But that match alone was just, that was really the first time I saw Nakamura wrestle too, and just the story, the hard hitting, the fighting spirit. Everything about that match was just, man. I have no words to explain it. Like, that's all I can give is, I will say another match I do love will be Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. Both WrestleManias. Both of them were just amazing, 5-star matches, Those matches alone are my go-to matches.
Those are awesome matches for your go-to match. I got two more questions before we shut this thing down. One of them, I saw a post on your Instagram and your Facebook, and you were kind of calling out Billy Corgan, and you were kind of calling out the NWA as a whole. You have staked your claim as the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. Tell us, what's that all about, my friend?
Well, they don't call me the New Age Daredevil for anything now, NWA lately has been coming really big, and it's making a comeback. Nick Aldis was the NWA World Champion, then Cody Rhodes, now Nick has it back. Willie Mack just became one of their new champions. So because everybody's been going for the heavyweight championship, I felt, why not be like, hey, I'll be your guys' junior heavyweight champion. Why not? If you got the belt just sitting there, why not? I'm down for anything. Billy Corgan, if you're watching, I'm right here. New Age Daredevil. I will do anything and everything to prove that not only to the Ring Crew, but to everybody, I deserve to be in this. I deserve to have a shot. I'm up for the challenge.
All right, Billy Corgan, it's on you, my friend. And we have one more question before we go. It's kind of cliche, but what is next for the New Age Daredevil? What is next for Damian Drake?
Anything's possible. I'm down for anything. I'm right here. I can't give you anything or any details right now, but I can tell you 2019 is going to be my year.
You heard it here from the New Age Daredevil, but before we go, as you know, when you're a guest on our show, you get a fancy Ring Crüe shirt. So here you go. I got you a sleeveless just like you wanted.
Oh, perfect.
So he'll be rocking that in promo pictures, hopefully, for years to come. But before we go, this is your time now. Plug your social media. Where can we find you? What's next for Damian Drake as far as where we can see you, and where can we find you?
I'm all over social media. You guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook is just Damian Drake. That's Damian, not E. Everybody gets it confused. It's always an A. DamianDrake. Instagram, Damian Drake, LV15, all lowercase. And on Twitter, Damian Drake, LV, capital 2 Ds, capital LV. What's next? Like I said, anything's possible. Stay tuned.
All right, guys, you heard it here first from the new Age Daredevil. Have a awesome time. Pleasure having you on the show. We look forward to seeing you here and all over the world in 2019 and the rest of 2018. We want to thank you for coming on, and do what you do, but whatever you do, don't mess with Damian Drake with an A or the Ring Crüe. We will see you guys next time.